Most likely. You have been sold the idea that the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians is supposedly a territorial conflict. In reality, this isn't a territorial conflict. Essentially, this is a conflict of a different nature, and I'm going to explain it to you very simply. Before 2005, Israel controlled the Gaza Strip. Not only that, but during all that time, the Palestinians or the Arabs who lived in the Gaza Strip, they were asking Israel to withdraw to what are known as the 1967 lines. In 2005, that's exactly what happened. Israel, we withdrew from the Gaza Strip and handed the Gaza Strip over to the Palestinians. Israel, we withdrew our families. We took people out of their homes. We took the dead out of the graves in the Jewish cemeteries. We took out the corpses that were buried. We took everything out to hand it over to them. The keys were given to the Palestinians for what? At that time, in 2005, it was believed that the Palestinians, finally, since what they had been asking for so much was fulfilled, that Israel would withdraw to the 1967 lines, which are from the Six-Day War. That if we withdrew from the territory, they were going to create a country, the Singapore of the Middle East, a Monaco, a country that was going to be successful in the Middle East. And why? Because Gaza was an area where there was a very good economy that supported Israel. They exported outside of Israel. What happened? That the Gazans, the Arabs who were in Gaza when they came in, and by the way, Arabs from Egypt also started coming in through the south, through Rafah. They simply started burning the structures that Israel left for them. Synagogues. They started burning everything. Israel left greenhouses for cultivation to help their economy, but they burned them. And what happened? They held elections to decide who would be the government in Gaza. Who did they choose? Hamas, a terrorist group? Since that moment, 18 years ago, from 2005 to today, Gaza has known only terror. They didn't create any country. They've received billions of dollars since then, so where is that money? On destruction, rockets, and attempts to kill our people. And Israel? We withdrew from the Gaza Strip as requested. They didn't create a country or that Singapore. And all that story they tried to sell in the West and at the United Nations and in the media, I said no. For the conflict to end, Israel has to withdraw from the territory and create a similar state. None of that happened, including in southern Lebanon when Israel withdrew. No, it hasn't happened in any case. And another interesting fact, Israel conquered Gaza in 1967 in the Six-Day War. Even before 67 groups like the Palestine Liberation Organization existed. They also called for the end of Israel. They weren't asking for Israel to withdraw from the West Bank to free the territory. No, what they want and ask for is the destruction of Israel. Their problem isn't the 1967 borders or that they have a country. Their problem is the fact that we Jews have a country. And I'll tell you another fact that also surprises me. What I don't get is why the West hasn't realized this. Maybe because people there don't know about Islam. You may not know, and I don't know if the viewer knows either, but that's what I'm referring to. Politicians and the media don't understand Islam or how jihadists think. That's why when I told you there's a factor beyond territory, beyond politics, it's the religious factor. If you don't understand what's going on in the religious mind or what the theological religious conscience of Islam says, you won't understand the reason for the conflict. Because this is not a conflict over territory. Again, this is a conflict because the Jews once again have a status. I'll briefly explain Islamic theology. Those who are not Muslims, Jews, Christians, etc. and live under Islam, live in Islamic countries. We are in a category called Dhimmi. Dhimmi is like second-class citizens. For Islam, the Jews. Throughout history, when Jews lived in Islamic countries, we were second-class citizens. Dhimmi, in Arabic Dhimmi, and the Dhimmi were required to pay taxes. Called jizya, they treated us as second-class citizens and very badly, like my grandparents and those before them. Claims that Jews live peacefully with Arabs are false. Jews were subordinate under Islam. They paid the jizya, were humiliated and forced to walk. Where do the SEC aqueducts pass through? Of human positions, things? Total humiliations. When did the Jews pay the jizya? The ritual was that the Jew had to crawl to the Muslim to give him the money. and the Muslim would kick him and take the money. It was a symbolic act to show that the Muslim was above the Jew, so that's one point. Now, what do you think about this? Now that you understand that their problem is the fact that we Jews are no longer Dhimmi, we are no longer second-class citizens. Now, it's the opposite. We Jews freed ourselves from being Dhimmi. We liberated our land. This is ours. This is the land of the Jews. This is not the land of the Arabs. They are from the Arabian Peninsula, right? They colonized our land, and after 2,000 years, the Jews decolonized it. What's going on? That even though it's our land, we Jews were so naive as to offer peace to a religion that wants our destruction. Please look up the Hamas Charter on the internet. It's the core document of Hamas. The Hamas Charter, look it up and read it. It says that the Jews are to blame for all wars, that the Jews of the world must be eliminated. It states you must first eliminate the Jews of Israel, then Jews worldwide. Read it. That's what Hamas says. That's what the ideology says, not just of Hamas, of all these groups. Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, Nusra, all these groups say that. So when they say it's not that the Palestinians just want a country, Hamas isn't asking for a country. Nowhere, you see, look at the Hamas constitution, at their founding charter, nowhere do they say that they want a country. What it says is that they want to expel the Jews from this land. That's what it says. They also cite a hadith, probably in Bukhari. A hadith claims they will exterminate all Jews. On the day of judgment, the Muslims are going to kill the Jews, and the Jews will hide behind stones and trees, and that nature will turn against the Jews. Gentlemen, what you see here, all this chaos, all this destruction, this is not a territorial conflict. Understand that Israel already tried to give land to the Palestinians, the Arabs from the Arabian Peninsula, who took the name Palestinians in the 1960s. The real Palestinians are us, the Jews, let me remind you. Emperor Hadrian named Judea Palestine, adopting the name from Herodotus, who used it for the Ashkelon coast. But the point is that in the time of Hadrian, the Palestinians were called the Jews. By the 18th and 19th centuries, they began calling them that. Even in the 19th century, the Jews were called the Palestinians, the Jews. There are documents from the Ottoman Empire showing that we Jews were the Palestinians. In the 1960s, people demanding territory were created. Though they didn't actually want it, the West just believed they wanted a country. You in the West must realize this isn't about territory. This is a conflict about whether Israel exists or does not exist. And we are going to make sure that Israel will exist forever. We've already had a hard time. The first destruction with the Babylonians. Didn't we learn the lesson? Second destruction by the Romans? 2,000 years later we learned no one will move us from here, not Hamas, Iran or any enemy. I have one final message for my Jewish friends in the diaspora and all Jewish viewers of our channel. Anti-Semitism or Judeophobia and attacks against Jews have increased a lot all over the world, in the United States, on university campuses. In Russia, there was a pogrom at an airport, and they literally went to kill Israelis who were arriving at the airport. There's a recording of an interview with a child where he's asked, "Why did you come here?" A Russian Muslim child came to the airport to kill Jews. They asked, "Why did you come? Was it to slit Jews' throats?" He shows a knife in his backpack and says, "I didn't come to slit Jews' throats." A child. In Russia, what's happening in Europe? They're burning and graffitiing synagogues in Latin America. What happened in Nicaragua? A Jewish cemetery, they covered it with swastikas, destroyed tombstones. They're messing with the dead. Jews. France, threats, school bombs, Spain, everywhere. The hatred of Jews is all over the world. So when these crazy people come to tell me no, the solution is that the Jews who live in Israel should leave. Where are we supposed to go? To Spain? They can put water in our wickless candles? To the United States, so they can start doing to us what they're doing in the United States right now? Wait, where are we going? To Russia, which gave us an airport pogrom? Jews only have one land. There's a song that says, "I have no other land," right? Is this land ours? We're not leaving here, even if they don't like it, even if they criticize us, because we Jews already know what it's like not to have a country. We've seen the consequences of lacking an army. 80 years ago, when the Nazis, the Germans, the Europeans, the Westerners were massacring us in concentration camps. We already know what it is. And we learned the lesson. No, thank you. We want an army to protect us, so others leave us alone. And if the world doesn't like it and prefers to criticize us because we, Israel, defend ourselves from Islamic terror at every turn, well, criticize us because I prefer an Israel criticized by the world. Let everyone criticize us for defending ourselves. I prefer that. To an Auschwitz, to a Nazi extermination camp, where everyone silent with their arms crossed, I prefer a criticized Israel to an Auschwitz where everyone is happy. So nothing? Despite that, I know that many here are with us, many people who support Israel, you who follow Jewish philosophy, who share our content, who support, who contribute, who take part. I also know that even though there are many criticisms, even though there are many people who are not happy with the existence of Israel, there are good people, like many of you who visit our page, open our page, and even haters watch us too, so you too, well, join us, but in any case, those who take part with Jewish philosophy. And I see your messages if I can, when I can, I read them, and honestly, I feel the strength. You have written to me from all over the world that you pray for us. Psalms, Tefillot. So we appreciate that. We truly carry you with us, and that's why good will prevail. Because, as the phrase says, this time I think it was said by the rebel Lubavitch, may his memory be blessed. Even though there is a lot of darkness, a small light can remove all that darkness, and we, you together with us, are that light. With God's help, may we succeed and good overcome evil, and may there only be joy for us, for you, and may there soon be peace in Israel and throughout the world.